Nardo Wick is one of the hardest rappers in the game. His debut album, Who is Nardo Wick, made him gain mainstream recognition really quickly, and he just released a new one called Wick. So in today's video we're going to take a deep dive into all the production techniques used across this album, and also create 2 beats inspired by it, so let's get into it. So let's set the BPM to 150 or around that. To find these accents and textures, we can use kits. For example, in my Imperial multi-kit we have a lot of accents that sound perfect for this genre. But in this video I want to show you how to actually make them from scratch, so let's open Analog Lab. Here it's really important to find a unique and different sound, and I want to search for something that sounds metallic. This one isn't really metallic, but it caught my attention, so let's try to use it. So I've set the scale to C# minor, and these are all the notes that we can use, and play around with these 2 notes that are only 1 semitone apart. Here we don't have to go really crazy with the main melody, we can just copy it over and keep it repetitive. Because the most important thing right now is to add some good effects. To achieve that Nardo Wick sound, we need to use effects like Portal, that is emulating a pedal like the Microcosm that works perfectly for this type of beats. And if you want a free alternative, you can search for the Fruity Granulizer. But for now, let's open Portal. Here you have a lot of presets, but I'm going to use one from my Dominion bank. Yeah, already something like this works. Let's try to change the pitch. And also randomize the pen. We can add some reverb on it. Yeah, let's render this. Once you render something, you have a lot of options that you can use. For example, you can hit the reverse, change the pitch. I really like this part, so let's loop it. Yeah, this really works. So this is how you create a good synth main melody. But from one audio you can get a lot of variations. For example, we can add some different effects on it, like Fin Micro that is free and it works perfectly. So we can render this again, reverse it and stretch it. Yeah, this works. Let's add an EQ on this texture to have only the high end, because that's what we need. Okay, now that we have that, another really common instrument in this type of beats are piano bass notes. So I will go in my Nebula multi-kit because here we have a crazy one shot. Yeah. But generally every piano works for this. So we started in C# and we went up 3, so we are in E right now. Let's try to go up again, maybe to F#. Yeah. Okay, this sounds really good, but we need some other accents and scenes to have enough variation for the arrangement. And honestly, in Glitching by Nardo Wick, they had quite a lot of instruments. Sometimes I really like to use that sound. Yeah, try to find these sounds that are a bit different and also strange, because they can create some really good effects. We can just use the same notes. Maybe pitch this up. Here the delay is really important. If it doesn't have it, I suggest you to add it. And let's render this. So we can try to reverse it again. Yeah. To create some more variation, we can pitch down the first two. Yeah, now it's more interesting. And we can also change the pen, this is really important. Okay, now we can go on and find some other sounds. I'm always using Analog Lab because I think it's the best one for this type of sounds, but there are also some FreeBSDs like Vidal, but you will need to sound design a bit. Now the thing missing in this beat is a lead. So the purpose of this lead is to create more energy, and they're used a lot in Nardo's beats. And we can just create a scale going up, and it will work perfectly. But maybe change the sound. I really like the tone of this sound, so let's try to modify it to fit our needs. It's starting to sound good. Let's add some reverb, and let's also remove this clicking at the start. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's really good. So now we have enough elements for our main melody, but we will need to think about building an intro. Yeah, the intro in this song goes crazy. So they just started with the main synth, and we can make it unique and pitch it down an octave. So the first thing that we need is to add a bass. So I go in my Imperial multi-kit and use a simple one. Yeah, something like this. And we can just follow the root note, so F sharp. And make it stop here so we can add some other melodies in this pause. Yeah. Here we shouldn't use that note, but it's like we were working in the Phrygian scale. And as you can hear, it doesn't sound bad, so we can keep it. The intro in Glitchin has a lot of synth accents and sounds, so let's try to use something from my Imperial kit. And maybe place it where we have the pause with the bass. Yeah. Whoa, the drop is crazy. Then we can add a lead in the Mike Dean style. Remember, I have a good lead here in the Phoenix. Yeah, something like this. And here we can go crazy. Yeah. Let's add some reverb on this. Another strategy used a lot in the intro in Nardo Wick's beats is to have a pitch automation, so we can just select this and create an automation clip. Okay, now it's time to add some crazy drums on this. And we need some classic hard trap sounds, so I go in my Imperial multi-kit and I start with a clap. So in Glitchin by Nardo Wick, they have a really unique clap pattern. And sometimes the clap is delayed or anticipated. But in my experience, doing that can make the beat difficult to rap on for an artist. So let's just stick to the normal pattern and maybe add some variation at the end. Then they use really sharp hi-hats. And let's add some bounce, adding some rolls. And if you want a super trap kind of bounce, we can add also lower pitch the rolls. Yeah, something like this can work, and we can just copy it over a few times and then add some variation at the end. Then we can click Alt-R to randomize the pen and the velocity. And the other instrument used a lot in these beats is the open hat. Just to create bounce, and we can place it before the clap. Maybe one at the start. And now it's already time to add the 808. They usually use the spins a lot, like the super spins or the normal one, but lately they use more long and heavy 808 like this one. And sometimes in this album they use the Phrygia scale for the 808, but if it doesn't sound good, don't do that. And to achieve that Nardo Wick sound for the 808, you need to make it clip a bit. So make sure to have a soft clipper on the master and have the 808 volume a bit higher than 0. Okay, now we can split by channel also the drums. And one thing that they did a lot is to change the 808 pattern on the verse. We can just make it unique. I suggest you to use the 5th note of the scale, that works a lot. But since we are changing bass notes, we need to remove the piano bass note. So yeah, that sounds good, and for now that's our first beat. Yeah, that beat came out crazy. Okay, now we can think about the second style of beats of this album. In fact, in songs like Ain't No Letting Up, we have some really catchy bass notes, so the 808 also is moving, and a hard but repetitive melody. Also, this type of beats are really easy to make, so let's get into it. So first of all, let's set the BPM to 165, since these beats are a bit faster. And we can start using the close grand piano from FL Studio, and then we can change the sound later. So let's start with the main repetitive and catchy melody. One easy strategy to create them is to always come back to one note and then change the notes in between. This works, but is a bit overused, so let's try to do something different. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, now that we have a really simple melody like this, we can think about the bass notes. So let's start with C sharp, that is the root note of the scale, and then play around with these two notes. So the 5th and the 6th note of the scale, they always work. And copy them. Yeah, this sounds really good. The next element in this beat is the top melody, and we can create something going down. So let's copy this. So now we need to find some other sounds for this. For the main melody, I think they changed sound and used something else. And usually something like an harp work really well for this. So let's actually search for an harp in Analog Lab. Whoa! This sounds detuned, but it works really well. And honestly, I like the sound of the close grand piano. I think we can just keep it like this. But let's clone this and paste our top melody into it. So we can decide when we want to play it. I add the stereo shaper with the Stereoize 3 preset on the main melody. And we can add some slight reverb on it. Okay, this sounds really good and we are almost done with this melody. We just need a dark pad or texture like the one that we have in this song. It's really subtle and in the background, but we have it. So let's add another Analog Lab, because here in my Dominion bank we have some crazy pads. Yeah, this one is dark. And we don't have to do too much. Maybe use only the first and the fifth. And make it lower in volume. Okay, that's it for our main melody. We don't have to do too much for this type of beats, so let's just copy it over and add some crazy drums on it. So the drums are really similar to the ones that we made before, but in that particular song they used a snare instead of a clap. Let's try to use something like this. And we can use the same hi-hats because they sounded really good. And also here they went crazy with the rolls. And they use a hat like this. And they used an 808 similar to the spins, so let's try to use spins too. And we need to follow the bass notes also with the 808. But to create some more bounce, let's change also the first pattern. Let's say the super spins.